Welcome back to another episode of the HigherUp podcast. I'm your host, Michael Smoke, and today, the episode you get to watch is a great example of a serendipitous occasion. This is on 24 hours notice, roughly, a hell of a follow-up from my friend who you're about to meet in just a moment, and a conversation I'm really excited to have. We both have no plan, no expectation, but we both know it's going to be a blast. So, Mr. Matthew Bickel,
Yes, sir.
thanks for being here, man. This is
Thanks for
about
having
a
me.
year in the making.
Yeah,
It's cool. When we
it
met out in
is.
Denver, you were like, I'd love to do your pod. And I was like, I got to go.
Yeah.
And then we see each other almost exactly a year later.
True.
It was
I didn't
last
think
March
about that. Yeah.
when we were in Denver together.
Yeah.
And you were like, dude, I still want to do the pod. And I was like, oh my God, we got to rip it.
Yeah.
So we're here. So thank you for taking time on a Sunday afternoon to sit down with me, dude.
Dude, right back to you, man. Like, seriously.
I felt super connected to you. Like as soon as we sat down and had that conversation at Ty's house, you were telling me a little bit about your life and your outlook on life, and your story is incredible. And
Thanks, man.
frankly, I don't think there's enough people in the space, and it's growing, and I'm thankful for it. But there's not enough people in the space who have been in the spot you've been when it
Yeah.
comes to weight loss and all the mental adversities you had to overcome. And I've known that that's a point of parity for me. You know, I've never known what it's like to lose a massive amount of weight and go through some of the battles that you've gone through alongside that.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really excited to learn more about you selfishly and hopefully share your story with the world and that they get something out of it.
Dude, huge. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I'm super pumped for the opportunity. And like when we talked, it's funny. I can have conversations with a million people and they come and go, and I always try and tap in, but every now and again you just fall into flow state with somebody and you're like, whoa, that I walked away from that like changed. And I was like, I wonder if he walked away from that change. And then when we talked again later, I'm like, wow, that's really cool because it doesn't always happen that way. And like, I don't expect magic, but I sure like when it shows up, you know?
Dude, yeah. I felt charged after the conversation. That's always a good barometer for me of the type of person somebody is.
Yeah.
I felt excited to do something. I don't
Yeah.
even know what it was. I just felt a little bit more excited about life and that warmth and that light that you share and you have now. Well, frankly, I'm curious, was it always there?
Yeah. So funny. It was always there. And I actually had to ask my mom this. I was like, Mom, did I have like charisma as a kid? And she's like, oh my God, yes. She was like, you were always the guy bouncing off the wall, always the big bright light. And I used that all the way into I played college football. And in college football, you had to carry a really fine line between ego and confidence. And so I like used my light to kind of create that confidence. And then when I got done playing football, that's when I started gaining a bunch of weight. And it's so funny because in my head, I wanted to be smaller and I couldn't be smaller physically because I was gaining so much weight. So I tried to get mentally smaller. And I tried to like be like, that was ADHD that made you like that. That you were obnoxious. Like you don't want to act like that. And so for a long time, I tried to mask it and like slow it down and also like wear colors without patterns on them and do all my clothes tried to mute my size. Everything was trying to mute me. And then one day, as I started to get back in shape and get healthy, I actually had an aha moment where I was like, wait a minute, this isn't ADHD. This is a light that not everyone has that needs to be shared. And I'm almost doing the world a disservice by trying to contain this. Just let it out. And now I have goosebumps head to toe from saying that. Now when I let it out, it's just like the opportunities of the world open up for me because it is a gift. And I don't think enough people, know how to harness that. And I feel like I found a little bit of access to my magic.
Yeah, I love the quote, stop holding back the gift that you are. Somebody is waiting to receive it.
Facts, dude.
And that's authenticity. It's not the lesson that I've learned is that the things that I thought were ego or arrogance, and sure they play, and then you need to be aware of these traits.
Absolutely.
It's actually just what you have. If anybody were to call it an arrogance or a ego, I would say that they're just not comfortable being who they truly are. I think it's pure authenticity, and authenticity is an energetic frequency that we can vibrate at, and it's super high and it's super magnetic. And I think that's why I was drawn to you and why everybody's drawn to you. Like I can feel when you're in the room and when you're not. Like at Eric's, I knew when you were at the grill and when you weren't, even if I wasn't looking.
Yeah, man.
So you can just feel it. It comes off of you. And it's inspiring because I think it's contagious. If people are ready to understand what it is, you being who you truly are empowers people to do the same. Because
Gives them permission.
yes,
Yeah.
your full expression of who you are and where you are aligned within your heart gives other people permission to do the same. Because I think we live a life that at different points, some people are lucky and don't experience this, some experience it a lot. We have things that happen to us that we apply then filters to the world as a result of them. You get told this vibration you're at was too loud, or it was you talk too much in class, or for some people, it's a parent that scolds them when they try to step out and be who they truly are.
Yep.
For me, a big part of my identity was very passionate and animated as an athlete. And then I got cut from a sports team and had a coach tell me, you're just not good enough. And I took that and made it part of my identity that I wasn't good enough to do anything.
Yeah.
And that wasn't true. I just allowed it to be.
Absolutely. It's your story.
Is that kind of an experience you had with mentally making yourself smaller?
Yeah, for me, it was like I knew that the weight gain was like creating problems in my life. And so rather than like tackle the elephant in the room, which is like get healthy, I tried to dance around it for as long as I could. And so I was like, well, maybe if I'm quieter, maybe if I'm, a little bit more reserved. And what's funny, what brought it out of me was actually business. I was doing a business call with a very powerful man and had his call with his financial team and was basically pitching to these people. And as I'm pitching, I'm trying to contain it. And it's just like coming out. And then at the end of the call, he goes, hey man, I just wanted to know that was really good, but next time could you be a little bit more passionate? And everyone started laughing on the call. And I was like, I got off the call and I truly thought I wasn't being passionate enough. I was like, oh no, I'm not passionate enough. And I told my ex-wife who was with me at the time, and she goes, you idiot. They were joking. You were the most passionate person. You were freaking out. It spews out of you. I'm like, oh my gosh, you're right. And so I think that was my actual aha moment where I was like, you know what? This is actually a very, very huge asset that if I don't take advantage of it, I'm doing myself a disservice. And it's so funny because like the micro of that, I see it all the time. Someone is afraid to ask someone for something that they totally need. Did an ultra marathon last weekend, and my friend, his toes were getting really bad blisters. And we had a Marine medic there who was like, if you have any foot problems, let me know, we'll fix your foot. And my friend, I knew he was never going to ask, and he was just going to walk for 20 hours with a hurt foot. And so finally I'm like, hey, can we fix this guy's foot? And he fixed up his foot. And that's the small side of it. People always playing small. They're afraid to ask. One of my favorite quotes ever is closed mouths don't eat. You can't eat with your mouth closed. And if you're not afraid to be told no, you shouldn't be afraid to ask. And so I'm like, hey, can you help my friend's foot out? And on the greater scale of that, if you want to amplify it a million times, it's walk into a room and unapologetically let your personality out and watch it break the ice for everyone around you. You know what I mean? Which is so much bigger than asking for a Band-Aid for your toe. And the impact of it is so much greater, but it's still the same, taking that blind leap of faith of like, okay, I got to ask, I got to step out, I got to be big. So that's how I wrap my head around it.
Yeah, it's a microcosm of the behavior at a bigger scale. The Band-Aid for the foot is applied in life. I think there's two things that happen when you operate the way that you do, or I'll personalize this, when I operate the way that I do, because I don't want to put this on to you. Real, unfiltered authenticity from the correct heart posture does one of two things. It inspires people to do the same, break the ice, or you hold up a mirror to them. Either way, you hold up a mirror to them, and they choose to do the same and go, wow, I'm going to be me too. Or the programming's too deep, they're really wounded, they're angry, or they are very repressed, and they don't like you for it.
Yeah, totally.
But that's beautiful because I think about my audience. I've posted a lot of content that has been polarizing or galvanizing to a degree because it's me, it's my opinion, and I'm not going to filter it. And it always creates dedicated, loyal followers that I'm connected to that I feel like they really know me. So if they were to see me in real life, I don't have to wear a mask or put on an act because you know what you're going to get.
Yep.
But then other people who think I'm the worst. And I don't think it's because they actually think I'm a bad person. I hope it's just because I revealed a part of them that they're not expressing. I hope.
Yeah.
Because I truly don't ever want to be a bad person or operate unethically. But I know that there's a lot of people who are dying to express themselves, and they feel like if they show up as who they are and who I believe God designed them to be, that they're afraid they'll be rejected.
Yeah.
That is the number one fear that I think holds people back in life. And I'm so convicted on this. It's not fear of failure. It's not fear of, funny enough, one of the number one fear in many surveys ahead of death is public speaking.
Oh, wow.
I don't think people are afraid to public speak. I think it comes back to this number one fear. It's the fear of being perceived. If I do something with you in this room right now, and I'm fearful that you're not going to like what I have to say or how I show up, and it won't align with the narrative in my mind and my heart that I want to uphold about myself, that I believe my place in the world is represented as,
yeah,
then that's going to crack my ego and my identity.
Yeah.
That's the fear. And I don't think you have that fear at all. I think you've conquered it.
Zero. It's funny. You said it as I was thinking it. It's giving permission to disarm your ego. And I walk into rooms, and it's especially in business, it's worse. But like we were both at Eric Hinman's Founders Only retreat this weekend, and there's a lot of powerful people in one room, and no one knows each other, and there's this like measuring of what's going on, and like I truly believe that like Eric wants me at every one of those because I'm gonna come in and just tear down the walls of ego for everyone. And in my business life, that's what I've always done is I disarm people's egos and give them permission. It's okay to be yourself. And I always jokingly say that like I take these, rich, successful businessmen and put them in a headlock and then rub their head instead of like nookie them. I'm like, hey, it's okay. We're gonna be ourselves and we're gonna be fair and we're gonna be nice. And everyone's like, oh, cool, we can do this,
That's amazing.
Yeah, man.
What about the weight loss? We've alluded to it.
Yeah.
But we really haven't gotten into just how dramatic it was.
Yeah, absolutely.
So at your heaviest, where were you?
532 pounds.
532 pounds. And where are you now?
I am 274 pounds right now. I just got a DEXA scan yesterday, so I'm 274. Aiming for 250. So I'm going to try and run the Leadville 100, which will be, I'm basically taking this narrative of from 500 to 100, weighing 500 pounds to running the Leadville 100. And I'll be the first person to have ever attempted this. I'll be the biggest person to ever stand at the starting line. And yeah, man, I've lost I'm going for about a 280 pound weight loss. I'm at right around 250 right now, 260. And at some point I will have lost more than I weighed, more than half of my body weight.
I mean, you effectively already have lost one of you.
Yeah.
Right? There was a whole other you attached to you.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What is it like day to day to walk around at that weight? Not even just from the perception standpoint, but physically.
Physically, it's achy. I've always been a high energy person, but my body couldn't keep up with my mind at those times in my life. And there's a lot of underlying shame and denial at all times. It's a weird analogy, but I just recently had one of my good friends, best friends, passed away, and found out like 6 months ago that he had an uncurable cancer, and then 6 months later he passed. Mm-hmm. And my friend, I asked him a lot of questions, like he was with him the whole 6 months. He basically went and lived with him. I was like, what are your takeaways? Like, what'd you learn? He's like, I want acceptance over denial. And I'm like, what does acceptance over denial look like when your life's ending? And he's like, well, this guy spent every single day of his last 6 months thinking he was going to beat this and preparing to beat it, which that's what you should do. But there came a time when it was quite obvious to everyone but him that he wasn't going to make it. And to be able to take acceptance is probably how, on my story, is how I began to actually start to lose weight, because I spent so much time in denial, refusing to accept the fact that like I was the cause of this problem and that I was the one who needed to fix it. And when I stopped looking at denial and it was like, okay, I accept this. Like, I don't fit in an airplane seat. I don't fit in a booth anymore. Like, I have to get a special seatbelt to sit on an airplane. Those were the type of things that continued, like, that should be enough. The writing's on the wall right there. Still in denial, still in denial. And on the day, my reckoning day, which was a boring aha moment where I was eating a horrible meal and I was burnt out on bad food, and I was like, you know what? I'm just sick of this. That was the moment of acceptance where I was like, okay, you're in a tough spot. You need to go get a scale. You need to start walking. You need to learn about nutrition. And those were kind of the first steps that I took towards weight loss.
Was shame a catalyst for you? Was it like, the seatbelt extender?
Yeah.
Was there an embarrassment there that served as a catalyst for change?
No, it's funny. There was an embarrassment there, but I didn't correlate the two somehow. Like, I thought the world was getting smaller. Part of being in denial is like blaming everyone but yourself. I'll never forget when I finally lost a bunch of weight and then like look back, there was a part of me that was angry at all my loved ones for not pulling me aside and telling me, get your act together. But at the same time, you're never going to fix anything unless you want to do it yourself. And people just love me for who I was. So I accept that and love that. But no, the shame was like, it's like if someone said, hey, you need to stop eating, I'd get mad at them. If someone was like, when the lady brought me the seatbelt at the airplane, I used to take the two ends of the seatbelt and tuck them under my waistband so I didn't have to deal with the shame. I would act like it was clicked, and that you wouldn't be able to see them because it was all covered up by my big belly. And I like that was better than doing something about it. It's so funny how the brain works, but it's just the way the brain's programmed,
Yeah, it was the mental gymnastics we play to avoid the truth.
Oh my God.
Sometimes, and everybody's doing this at all times in some facet of their life. It's Part of the game of life is consistently identifying the places where I'm lying to myself.
Yeah.
And they're here right now.
Yeah.
And I try to audit. And when I do, I try to bounce them off people that I know won't bullshit me.
Yeah.
But it's interesting you say, like, it doesn't matter if someone would have pulled you aside and giving you that love on the head, that rub on the head you talk
Yeah.
about, because you weren't ready to hear it.
I would have resented them.
Right. The
Yeah.
truth can feel like an attack to someone not yet willing to hold it.
Facts.
How does it get to that point in terms of why not at 400 or 450 or 500? Was there a deeper meaning? You know, you hear oftentimes emotional eating or coping with food. Was there something you were doing or using food for
Yes.
to stay safe? What was that?
Well, so grew up very, very poor and felt unloved, and was loved by my family, but wasn't loved by the rest of the world. When you're overweight and broke, the world, kids are mean. And so food first started out being something that was there for me. That was like a comfort thing. I was like, I can lean on it. And then what's the weirdest thing is when it became, like I played college football. I played at Baylor down the road from here. And was rewarded for being a big guy and was almost like revered for being big, and then became the strongest guy on the team. So there was this ego and this identity of being a big guy. And then when I got done playing football, ironically, it was making money and becoming successful. I thought that when you make money and become successful, culture is traveling the world and fine dining. And so I was going to do the best. And something that anyone who's been this big or lost this much weight, I would say, is you're very competitive at everything you do. And my competition was like, I wanted to eat the finest meals every single day in the best places, not thinking of the repercussions of what it was doing to my body. You know what I mean?
Wow. Was there ever a balloon period, and up and down? I think Ethan Suplee talks about how he's lost 300 pounds, but he's actually lost thousands of pounds because he's gone up 100, down 100. Up. Did that ever happen to you?
So I started losing weight in 2012 or something like that, and went from like 530 to like 400, no, like 350, and I thought I'd conquered all my demons. It was good. I thought it was behind me. I thought I could like close that chapter, got rid of all my big clothes, and then it slowly started to come back. I hadn't figured out the fitness community yet. I'd only figured out fitness. And so I was hiking and eating healthy, but after 2 or 3 years, that just started to slip through my fingers a little bit. And I was also living isolated up in the mountains at the time. And one of the biggest shifts for me was stepping back on the scale and seeing 378 pounds. I was like, you're almost 400 pounds again, dude. Like, I thought this was over. I thought I had this beat. And so then I joined a CrossFit gym, and that's where things really took off for me. And I was able to find that fitness isn't a burden, and fitness isn't something you do to get fit. So fitness is a lifestyle, and fitness is something that you do for fun and for activity and for, to really express yourself. And I'd never considered it that way. Football, it was like training for a thing or a punishment. And so I just had to reshift my mindset. And when I was able to shift my mindset, it became very, very fun. But to answer your question, I've probably lost 600 pounds. You know what I mean? Like I'll get up. I'm 274 right now. I've been 10 years ago, I was 280, and 4 years ago, I was 315. And it doesn't look much different on me, but it's absolutely how I'm living my life and how disciplined I am that affects the number on the scale. No shocker,
What was what is, if it's continuous, the shift in mindset? Because that is true, but I'm thinking about the person listening to this that will always come back to, but how do I do that?
Yeah.
So what happened practically in your head or your heart that created a shift towards, no, I do this stuff because I love my body, because it's fun, because it connects me with people, and not punishment? Was it just a decision?
It was honestly a decision it started out with anger. I was sick and tired of being fat and out of shape and unhealthy. I was sick and tired of getting out of bed in the morning and my lower back feeling like an elephant was standing on it because I had such a big belly. But the shift, that was the first, like the catalyst, but the actual shift was joy. The day that I was like, this is fun. This isn't a burden. I don't have to go to the gym. I get to go to the gym. I don't have to train. I get to train. I have arms and legs that work. I need to celebrate that every single day. There's people who would kill for this opportunity. And that's when that happened, it was like pouring gasoline on a fire. And then what happens from there? You make a bunch of friends, you change your lifestyle, everyone's doing it. I have, you know, we're going to do the Grand Canyon, rim to rim to rim. You go to the bottom of the Grand Canyon, across, up, back down, across, back up. It's 45 miles, 12,000 vert. We have 45 people doing it on May 24th. There's
Holy
45 people. And this isn't a sign up, buy a ticket. This is like we sent out an email. Hey, anybody want to go? 45 people confirmed to going to it. It's like,
it's also not, it's extremely hard.
oh, extremely
This is
hard.
not like going for a hike.
Yeah, this is 20 hours.
And you have to do it before you start at like sun up, right? Or before sun up.
Start like 2 or 3 in the morning to get down to the canyon, hike across. And then what's funny is when you start, there's snow on the ground. It's 30 degrees. When you, in the middle of the day, it's 110. And when you finish, it's 30 degrees and you're in snow again. So it's like just a crazy, crazy adventure. But yeah, I live in a world where that's normal now. And I used to live in a world where it was normal to go get appetizers at Applebee's and then cheeseburgers and then go get ice cream afterwards. You know what I mean? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but the same intention, the same effort, the same community, the same joy you feel from, you can get it from both. One's just a little bit more uncomfortable at the beginning. The other one's uncomfortable when you're trying to go to bed.
It's hard now, easy later, easy now, hard later.
Yep.
But that's such a good, I really want to hammer on that because I was having a conversation with one of the guys, Pete at Sisu.
Yeah.
We were talking about how abnormal what we all do is. It's for the norm, right? The average person, because I had done a long run yesterday for the marathon prep I'm on, and it was 16 miles. And that is super normal in our group. And I was thinking, I remember not that long ago, would only ever drive 16 miles and would think you were a fucking psychopath.
Or you need some sort of award for doing it.
Yeah. It's like, what do you mean to run that far, go that far? And I think it's really important. Another practical thing that I would challenge people with is you are your environment. So being around people like Eric, it's not really a choice. It's keep up or get out. It's train or go home, go find new friends because he's doing it.
Yep.
And then everybody else is doing it. And your threshold for what is possible, but also what is normal raises, and it's all relative. Like it's abnormal for me if I can't go out and do a long run, I'm like, something's not right. Like I'm not healthy. I need to lock in. And it's because I put myself around people that is just what they do, as if it were happy hour on a Tuesday night. That's our, Eric's happy hours every day at 5. You go get really, really hot in the sauna.
Yeah.
You suffer a little bit.
Yeah.
But it makes the night easier. It's hard now, easy later.
Yeah,
so what were some of the key decisions or people in your life early on that allowed you to raise your threshold or establish this new normal?
Yeah. So some big, huge decisions were quit drinking everything but water. That's the biggest one in the world right there. That's like $1 million piece of advice for someone trying to lose weight. And it's also something I remember, you can't just like cold turkey. You can, but it's really hard when you're in that mental throw. I remember being like, well, I'll quit drinking soda, but I'll still drink milk. And it's like, okay, I'll quit drinking, whole milk. I'll drink 2% milk. And now it's like, I drink water, and it just simplifies things for me. Anytime you can simplify things, that's huge. Another one is I bought a Japanese steel knife and a bamboo cutting board, and I learned how to cook. And I think anyone who's ever been severely overweight probably doesn't know nutrition and cooking. And like, if you can learn that, it's a self-love process that like the preparation of the food, the serving of it to other people, the thought and intention that goes into it is so much greater that you eventually can't let yourself down by, like, you just make better and better decisions if you prepare your own food. As you learn about nutrition, you're like, oh my gosh, this tastes the same if I put a thumb cap full of olive oil in it, or if I put a cup of olive oil in it, it tastes the exact same. It actually tastes better. It's not all oily. And I just saved myself 40 grams of fat. And those are the little bitty steps. That led me to like the food side. The community side, there's some people who I like, a guy named Eric Botsford, who was a CrossFit coach at a gym in Hawaii. And now he's he runs adventures for Laird Hamilton and Gabby Reese for XPT. Yeah. And there's people like him that were along the way. I met them and they were like, I would aspire to be them. And then if I could get to their level, I would aspire to get to the next level. And there was, so many people along the way. And now like the Eric Hinmans and the Eric Botsfords and the Sam Dancers, like I'm never going to pass those guys. So I finally put myself in a room where I'm like the dumbest guy fitness wise, and I'll always have people to chase. And that's such a comfortable place to be if you want to stay hungry and stay, passionate about it.
Yeah, yeah. If you're the smartest or the best guy in the room, you got to find a new
Get
fucking
out,
room.
dude. Get out, dude.
It's no good.
Yeah, run like hell.
Yeah, that's an important piece about cooking. I think one of the realizations I had, because I was never morbidly obese, but I just ate a standard American diet,
Yeah.
which leads to a lot of fat, a lot of calories, and a lot of hyper palatable foods.
Yes.
Once you learn how to cook, not only do you realize that that food tastes good, like my death row meal is a ribeye. Like nothing beats a perfectly cooked prime ribeye steak.
Yes.
And after a while of eating that way, when you realize that really is how we're probably made to eat, then you have the hyper processed stuff. I remember I posted a video. It was my first time having a McDonald's milkshake in like 6 months. And it was something I used to have all the time. And I recorded myself taking the first sip. And immediately out of my mouth, I went, oh, this is drugs.
Yeah.
Like it's so intense
Yeah.
that it made sense why I was eating it every day. And then you just become numb to the dopamine.
Totally.
But then beyond that, you talked about the love of cooking. I think cooking is super meditative.
Absolutely.
Like it's one of the few things, there's a few things in the world, I think people need habits like this. There's a few things in the world that pull me out of the noise. That no matter what I have going on when I'm doing it, it's the only thing I can think about.
Yep.
And it's a form of meditation. It's heavy strength training, long runs, and cooking.
Yeah.
Like when I also love that you pointed out the fact that you bought a nice knife.
Yeah.
I love fine cutlery.
Yeah. You want to be excited to go use it.
Yes.
You know what I
I
mean?
bought like a $200 Wusthof and I was like, I can't wait to cut some onions.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
And it's like so satisfying. And I love the ritual of I'll pour myself like a taste of red wine. I'll throw on some music. It sounds very like sexy. It kind of is.
Yeah.
I'll put on some music and I'll just start chopping produce and getting the meat and seasoning it. And I'm just so locked in on what I'm doing. And then I get to enjoy the fruits of my labor. And then you pull in the next level of that, which is I love doing that with people.
Yep.
My favorite thing in the world is hosting a dinner party.
Same.
And cooking for the people I care about. And then you get to just, break bread. There's a reason that phrase exists.
Absolutely.
And it makes it so much fucking fun. And then you realize like actually healthy eating doesn't suck. I just didn't know how to cook.
Totally. And what that is, I define that as self-love. And, you wouldn't think of cooking as self-love. It's absolutely self-love. There's no better way to love yourself. I loved other people by cooking for them for years, but I never loved myself for cooking for myself. And I'm like, one day I realized, I'm like, oh, wow, going to the gym and training is a form of self-love. These are deposits that you're making into your own savings account of self-love and of health and fitness. And I swear by these two mantras: health is wealth and fitness is freedom. And like you can have all the money in the world and be stuck in a hospital for the last 20 years of your life and nothing you can do with it. Or you can have not a penny to your name and go run up Mount Everest. You know what I mean? Like there's no one could stop you if you've went to the Himalayas and started walking. There's no one you don't have to have a ticket to do it. And so there's all this freedom that comes with fitness and all this wealth that comes with health. And so I'm like, I'm trying to be the richest 90-year-old man in the world, meaning that I'm still out doing all this cool stuff that we're doing right now. Cause what's life without quality,
Dude, that's so good. This photo I have on my phone, you saying that. So right here, I've had the same background photo for years. It's this mountain, this glacier lake. I don't know if you guys can see that on the camera.
Banff, right?
No.
It's
the Enchantment Lake Trails in
Okay.
Leavenworth, Washington.
Whoa.
And I'm 4,000 feet up there, and it's a glacier lake at the base of a mountain. And it's just like crystal blue like that.
Yeah.
At that point, we had been hiking for probably 2.5 hours. You're in zone 2 the whole time. It's tiring. And I took that photo, and I sent it to my mom and dad. And my mom, who's just a sweetheart, but she's not really one to just drop profound thought on me at any given time.
Yeah.
I'm not used to it from her. And she said something that just really jarred me. She said, you just saw something that most people will never have the opportunity to see with their own eyes.
Goosebumps.
And that is freedom, dude.
Yeah.
That being able to go up there and see something that most people's bodies have them imprisoned and they won't allow them to get to that point.
Yeah.
That is wealth.
Totally.
It is true wealth.
The
It's like
biggest riches on the planet.
it is. I love the quote. You can have a laundry list of problems until you have a health problem, and then you have one problem.
Yeah.
And a healthy man wants 1,000 things, but a sick man wants only one.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine all the things I've experienced that were a direct byproduct of my body's capacity to handle them. I would be way less of a human if I didn't get to do those things.
Totally. You're just robbing yourself of so much cool stuff. Like the walking across the Grand Canyon is one of the most deadly hikes on the planet, supposedly, or something like that. Like it's very, very dangerous because it's so hot, because it's so extreme. And yet the Grand Canyon is the most beautiful place I've ever stood in my life. I went to it 15 times and saw it from the car. I saw it from the top. And then one day, lo and behold, I wasn't scared anymore. I had the ability to do it. I went all the way across that thing and back. And I'm like, gosh, I would have robbed myself of this had I not been able to do it. And the being game ready is so cool. Like people always are going to have like Masogis and big, huge things ahead of them. They're like, I need to train so that I can walk across the Grand Canyon. I want to live a life where it's like, if you call me tomorrow and say, Bickel, I got 2 spots, let's go up Everest. I'll be like, I'm on my way. Where do I bring the oxygen tank? You know what I mean? Like that's a really, really cool approach that if you rob yourself of it, it's just such a disservice, and anyone can have it. That's the thing. I'm living proof that anyone can have it. There was a time in my life where I felt like I was going to break my ribs if I bent over to tie my shoes because my belly pushed so hard into my ribs. There's a time in my life where a flight of steps was a challenge. I'm from Colorado, and I go to lots of concerts at Red Rocks, and I would park in the handicaps. Like I would lie to say, get a handicap spot, walk into the venue and sit in the front row. I hadn't seen the top of Red Rocks in 10 years because it's 71 flights of steps and 1,000 vertical feet. And I was terrified of it. It's beautiful up there. You can see the whole city. Like and that's a small micro example of like every single decision in your life when you're very unhealthy is based around when am I going to get food and can I do it or not? And that's so limiting. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't want to limit ourselves in any other capacity of life, yet health-wise, I think the ignorance of not knowing how limiting you are doing to yourself and the stories we tell ourselves, the knee injury from high school or whatever, we just like write these stories in our heads that limit us, but you're literally putting yourself in prison.
And this is a more theoretical in my opinion. I don't necessarily have evidence to support this, but making decisions through those lenses constantly is like carrying a pebble in the shoe of your conscious mind.
Yeah.
Every single thing that I do or that you were doing at that point was made through that lens. And I would bet, again, I might be wrong, but I would bet there's a legitimate impact on your health from that chronic low-level stress and worry. Because that's going to elevate your cortisol. It's going to elevate all your stress hormones all the time if you're constantly in a state of just minute worry and stress.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah. I had to worry about, like, what's funny is you nailed it. I still have to unprogram my brain about thinking about the next thing I'm going to eat. I stay fasted until 3 or 4 o'clock every day simply so I don't start thinking about food. I learned that if I eat food, I start thinking about food the rest of the day. And my brain's like, when's my next meal coming? And when I was my heaviest, I would eat a 5,000 calorie meal. And as I'm finishing the last bites, my brain is shifting gears to what are we going to eat? When are we going to eat next? Should I eat more in case I'm not going to, there's every person who's overweight has the story of going out to dinner before you go out to dinner, where you go eat some food before you go meet up with people so you don't make an ass out of yourself eating like 4 entrees, which is what you need to be full. So you have to like go eat. Like my thought process was so centered and focused on food at all times. And to this day, I'm like, people go 40, 50, 60 days without food and they're fine. That's obviously extreme, but in my head, I truly thought I needed food every 4 hours or something bad was going to happen. And, it's just, again, retraining the brain.
Do you feel like it was an addiction?
100%. It still is. It's an addiction. It will be for the rest of my life. Fun story. The fittest I've ever been, could see all my abs. This girl invites me to Chicago. I'm in New York and I'm coming back to Denver and I'm like, I'm going to stop in Chicago, hang out with this awesome girl. We're going to go on a date. It's going to be super cool. And then I'd been gone for like 4 or 5 days and I had some client meetings in which meant I was eating bad. And I realized if I go to Chicago, I got to have Giordano's or the Gia or whatever deep dish pizza. There's a hot dog place I love. There's a hot Provel sandwich I love. Like these are things that like, I was like, man, you're going to have so much, you're going to be miserable if you don't do it. And I was like, you better not, you need to just go home and be healthy. And so I called the girl and I almost lied to her. It was like, hey, something came up. And I was like, you know what? Like it was that moment that I realized I don't have it. And I was the fittest I've ever been at a 400-pound power clean, a squatting 600. But I still don't have control of this thing that I will never have control of. I can never close the book on food and be like, cool, I'm good to go. I'm not a food addict anymore. It's a drug that I have to take every day. If it was alcohol, I don't drink alcohol. I've never had an alcohol problem, but there's never been anything else that I've been addicted to because I can quit anything. I have the willpower to quit anything. You cannot quit eating food. You will die eventually, you know?
Yeah. Were you honest with her?
I was.
What did you say?
I said, I don't have it. I said, if I come to Chicago, I have a friend that owns a bunch of restaurants there, and he would want me to come. And I was like, I just don't have it. I just need to get back to Denver and eat meal prep and exercise and feel better about myself, because if I come there, I know that I won't have the self-control. And she was like, thank you so much. Like, I appreciate that so much. And she wasn't mad at all, which of course was my biggest fear of letting her down, you know?
All right. You stepped in, broader lesson there. You overcame the fear of perception, and it was actually fine.
Facts.
It was actually better that you were completely honest for everybody.
100%. I didn't lie to her. She was so thankful that I was honest. She could tell that I was hesitant about something. And had I told her some stupid lie that wasn't the truth, the energy would have been, that's weird. Why did he do that? Instead, I was vulnerable. I told the truth, and we're good for it. You know what I mean? And she encouraged me, go home, get your act together, feel good about yourself. So
what was it like on the other side of sacrificing the opportunity because you realized you didn't have it?
It was so refreshing because I had been pretending like I had it ever since I lost the weight. You know what I mean? In my head, I thought I did. And I was almost like, you have to act this way because you can't let your guard down because you gotta. And then one day I was like, wait a minute, you gotta be honest with yourself here. Like, you're gonna have to battle this every single day. Like, if it was literally anything else, I don't do it anymore. I just stopped. It's what the thing that haunts me is I have to eat food. I remember wishing there was a pill that you could take that was your full day's worth of macros, and you could just take it and not have to eat food and not have to worry about it. And what's funny is that's also a thief of joy. Like, eating healthy and breaking bread and being in community and serving people, that's a beauty of life that you don't want to live without. And so no different than like you having your glass of wine with your dinner. You're not going to go pound 6 bottles of wine and throw up in your bathroom. So you found a way to enjoy something that other people could ruin, and you do it in a healthy way. That's all I have to do and frame with food is I have to find a way to enjoy something that normal people can have normally, and people with crazy brains have to just think a little bit extra about it,
Yeah, you couldn't have cooked 50 steaks for everybody at Eric's the other night if you had the macro pill.
Yeah, totally.
Which, by the way, I was wildly impressed with the fact that you cooked 50 fucking steaks on a flat top. I remember you were dropping the fillets. And you were like, dude, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. These are thick, and I'm on a freaking griddle.
Yeah,
and you nailed it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, it was
I appreciate
super
that.
cool.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
What beliefs about yourself or the world did you have to let go of to get here?
That's a great question. The first thing I had to let go of about myself is that I am enough. I've spent my whole life wanting to be enough for someone and for anyone, for everyone. And when you grow up poor and overweight, your only gift to the world at that point, because I hadn't developed any skills yet, was the loving you and worrying about you. Like, I learned that if I loved you enough and worried about you enough, you would love me back, or you would at least find some concern or some way to like worry, take care of me or want to help me. And that was a very unhealthy thing to do as a kid. But as an adult, it's great. As long as you have the discernment of, I love you and I want to help you, and you don't have to do anything for me. It's actually going to make me feel better.
That's it.
And if I love you and serve you and I walk away and I filled your cup, it doesn't empty mine. I filled both of our cups at the same time. And we live in this transactional world where it's funny. There's an author named David Foster Wallace, who was a famous American author. He took his own life, and before he did that, he wrote a graduation and commencement speech called "This Is Water." It's online. And basically the gist of it is that we are born into this earth programmed for our own safety to be completely self-centered. You're completely dependent on someone else. They need to feed you. They need to shelter you. They need to keep you away from harm. And then as you start to develop your brain and your mind, it's very much like the first step is just, can I take care of myself? And that's emotionally, that's physically, and that's mentally. And as you evolve, you realize that like at some point, if you dive too deep into that side of the pool, all of a sudden, all you care about is taking care of yourself, and you've lost out on this greater, beautiful thing. Whereas, if I have a quote that I made up, if you want to be depressed, worry about yourself. If you want to find joy, worry about others. Like, it's as simple as that. And anytime you're depressed, it's because you're worrying about yourself. And then anytime you get out of that headspace, it's because you started thinking about other people and how you can serve them and show up for them. And so for me, that mindset shift was absolutely massive, where it was like, okay, I know that, like, in this world of self-centeredness and it's our default. It's not like you didn't do something wrong. Your default, like, okay, I need shelter, I need food, I need income, I need love, and I deserve these things. And the mind shift for me was like, okay, I'm enough, and I can make this world such a better place and not have to worry about my own worries if I start pouring into the people around me. And then I'm a big quote collector. I can tell you are too.
Yeah.
One of my very, 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 very favorite quotes about service is that, like, in service, and I'm trying to think of the exact quote. I have it in my phone, but it's basically like, oh, my phone's not on me. It's out there. I lost my train of thought on that, but I'll get back to you in 1 second on the quote. I promise you.
That's fine. There's a quote that I love in that same vein. I saw it when I was moving into university. I transferred from community college to Kennesaw State, and I was in this transition period of what the hell do I want to do? I changed my major 3 times, and I found the sales program at Kennesaw State, which is where I ended up graduating from, the Kennesaw State Business School. I have a sales degree, and there's a quote on the wall of the window of the Center for Professional Selling. It's where all the students gather. It's a little conference room. And the quote is a Zig Ziglar quote. It says, "You can have everything you want out of life if you just help enough people get what they want."
Ooh.
And I went, I want that.
Yeah.
That never forgot that.
Yeah.
And it's true, because to give with the expectation of receiving something in return is a form of manipulation.
Yes.
That's really what you're doing. It's
transactional.
It's transactional,
Yeah.
but it is manipulation. And people want to say, well, I just want to help people, but why?
Yeah.
And the key to freedom, though a bit paradoxical, is, like you just said, is giving without expectation.
Yeah.
Like, release any idea of anyone doing anything for you in return when you do something.
Yeah.
Remove the transaction. And it's paradoxical because your brain wants to go, but what do I get out of that? Because it wants to preserve. But actually, the paradox is, the more you do that, the more joy you feel, because you're externally focused.
Yeah.
And you actually get way more in return.
Well, you just said the first half of the quote and brought it back to my brain for me.
Let's go.
Giving without expectation, which we all know the first half, the second half, leads to receiving without limitation.
Oh.
If you give without expectation, it will lead to receiving without limitation. And what does that mean? I don't have a scorecard. You just had Jesse Itzler on your podcast. You're doing me a solid letting me tell my story right now. I know this, but I'm not sitting here like, well, okay, it's 1-0, Michael, like, got to get the score right. Got to get when can I get it 1 over to you? No, it's not like it's funny because the Bible has a verse on this too. Giving without expectation. So I'm just going to pour out to the world. And what the funny thing is another quote is, you will receive 10 times what you give. And so if you give without expectation, there's the 10x is the receiving without limitation. And there's so many words or funny phrases or nuances to it. There's networking. You're a great networker. No, I'm not. I don't want your business card. I want to build a relationship with you. I want to go far beyond a transactional thing. In the Bible, there's a verse where someone asked Jesus, Father, how many times should we forgive him? 7? And he says, no, 77 times 7. That's 449. And so someone deserves 449 chances. I'm not going to keep score, so I don't know when it's 449-0, but also, when it's 449-0 without keeping score. And so it's never a transactional thing. You might fill my cup all day long from this, and I might not do anything for you. And I might walk out of here so inspired by you filling my cup that I go fill 10 cups. You just filled 10 cups, and you did it by helping one person. And when that mindset takes over, that's when the magic starts to happen. And Eric Hinman, our friend, is a beautiful example of that. Eric is gives the most effort to help other people for no gain of his own, but the sum of the gain that he receives from doing that with no expectation is what creates this insanely crazy life for him,
Dude, he's one of my favorite people I've ever met, because of that, because you can feel within him that he doesn't want anything from you. I mean, the very behavior, to bring this down to earth for everybody so you know what Bickel's talking about, he will. Eric has a massive social media following. He's well established. He's wealthy. He could probably retire right now if he wants to.
Absolutely.
A random 18-year-old kid with 200 followers on Instagram will DM him and say, "Hey, can I come interview you?" And he'll, yeah, come over. Come sit in the
100%.
sauna with me. Come stay. He did that with me.
Yeah.
A year ago when I was establishing myself in social media, I loved Eric. I was a big fan, and I just said, "Hey, man, would love the chance to interview you for my show. Should our paths ever cross?" And he goes, "Let's make it happen. Come to Denver. You can stay with me." And that's where I met you.
Yep.
And that's why we're here now. Like, Eric created this opportunity through his own giving and abundance, and he wants nothing from you because there's really nothing I could give Eric
Yeah.
that would move the needle on his life from a monetary or worldly standpoint.
Right.
But he's the epitome of the scripture I love. When we talk about giving without expectation and not keeping score, what I thought you were referencing is Galatians 6:9 says, "Let us not become weary in doing good, because when the time is right, we will reap a bountiful and fruitful harvest."
Goosebumps. You got me again.
It's just it comes from a deep faith and trust in knowing that it will pay off, just maybe not on the timeline that you're ready for it to.
Yes.
And that's faith. That is faith. But eventually, I think you probably can appreciate or agree with this. It is faith to know that it all comes around. Maybe not in a way I understand, maybe not directly, maybe not now, but it begins to become a pattern.
Yeah.
Like it becomes still about faith, but now I've just experienced it. I've given so much. I've seen people give so much and watch what happens to them that I just trust it's gonna work out because it's a law.
Yeah.
It's a law of reciprocity.
Absolutely. It does not fail. And it's so funny because the lens you do it through is like, as soon as it becomes transactional, you probably won't get what you want. You know what I mean? As soon as it's like, okay, like you let me on your podcast. Now I got to really come up big to get you back. And it's like, so you might just be let down if like, oh wow, the guy got me a hat, like, wow, I put him on. That's not it. When the lens becomes like, how can I just make sure that if I go to bed with an empty cup every day, I just emptied it out for everybody. And in doing so, I'll wake up with a bigger cup twice as full. It's like, there's all the fitness to life, references, but like we lift weights to tear our muscles, to break them down, to build them up bigger. That's how you get bigger muscles. It's an emotional thing too. If you empty it out every day, if you pour your spirit out every single day, God will give you an abundance of spirit to fill your cup back up. And if he notices that you're emptying it out every day, maybe this guy needs a bigger cup. You know what I mean? Like, he's got a lot to give. I should help this cup get bigger because of the world that I'm creating and changing by doing so,
Yeah. And I think the shared intention that you have and I have is that sitting in front of these cameras isn't even for us to help each other. If that happens, great. It's, I hope someone else gets something from this.
Absolutely.
And when that energy is shared, it becomes supernatural. Like, I really think the energy that you have and that I'm starting to understand when I made some career pivots. I went to a Tony Robbins event and had a lot of awakenings on all the places I was deferring the hope on my heart. I love the scripture, Proverbs 13:12. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a dream fulfilled is a tree of life.
Yeah.
I view that tree of life as the self-sustaining energy source. It is supernatural. Like, the energy you have doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
The way you're able to give doesn't really make sense. The way you're able to run ultras at 275 pounds doesn't make sense in my head.
Yes, sir.
It's just beyond our understanding, and it comes from the fruit of the Spirit.
Yeah.
I really do agree with you and believe you fully on that.
Thank you. And I think that God has put you and I both here to prove that over and over and over and over, and with actions, not words. Like, we can, and I love being able to come to places like this and share this word, because we're so busy living it that until I stop and verbalize it, it doesn't remind me again. To teach is to learn twice.
Yeah.
And so to talk about it is just, I'm getting a whole nother lesson in this where I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. You know what I mean? Like, I'm glad we can touch up on this because it's easy to forget too. Life is a monotonous thing. It's a over and over and over, day in and day out. And this is water that David Foster Wallace talks about. He's speaking to a group of graduates, and he's like, you're not at any finish line, kids. You're at the starting line. And now that you have this prestigious degree and you have this knowledge, you're not armed with anything. Yes, you can go do a skill now, but the real work starts in brushing your teeth tomorrow and then doing it for the next 20,000 days, making your bed for the next 20,000 days, not getting frustrated in traffic on the way to and from work for the next 20,000 days. The analogy in the story is this person goes to the grocery store after work and they just need to get some groceries and they want to go home. They've had a long day and the traffic sucks and they don't have any food at home. So they have to go to the grocery store. And when they get to the grocery store, everyone's mulling around because there's a bunch of people just like him. And so he's like, these people are everywhere and I can't get to my groceries. And then you go to check out and the lady checking you out, it's like, nah, cause she's had a long, hard day. And in this moment, you are living your first person center of the universe. I'm the most important person and all of these people are in my way. And then he shifts the context of it to, what if the lady at the cashier desk has a kid at home with leukemia? And she's just trying to make enough money to get by in the day. And what if these people walking around the grocery store are just as tired and frustrated and stressed out? Because they are. You know what I mean? It's looking at life through that lens can honestly free you of suffering. It's the Hindu religion is very big into living a life without suffering. And Hindus are really, really cool in that they believe that attachment leads to ultimate loss and failure. And if you can just not attach to things, to the idea that I need this or I have to be this way, you cannot suffer. And as soon as you create this narrative that you have to live inside of, now you're in jail and you have to suffer. You know what I mean? So it's like, how can we live a life of doing that? Joy and service, and they fuel each other.
And full detachment, like you said, which can be easier said than done because
Absolutely.
Our flesh does get in the way.
Absolutely.
We are still human. And at the end of the day, there are days where I'm tired and I have given a lot. And there's one more person to talk to or one more person to meet with. When I do seminars, and then after the seminar of giving, there's a period of a line of meeting each and every person.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful, but my body gets exhausted.
Yeah.
And then something like this really, really charges me back up to do it all again. So it's okay to give yourself grace, find a way to charge back up and say, my ego's getting in the way, my flesh is getting in the way, I'm tired, I'm important, but it's part of why I'm so thankful that I had the old man that I did. I didn't realize until he got closer to the end of his life how spiritual he was and how Christ-like he was. Because really the epitome of the Christian faith is not to read your Bible, it's not to go to church, it's to be more like Christ.
Be like Jesus.
In every way that we can. And my dad would say, I always wanted you to come to faith on your own and never wanted to beat you over the head with it. I didn't want you to develop a negative relationship with church and God because I forced you to do something. And I look back now, and I wasn't in my faith until he got sick. Like I didn't really give my life to Christ until he got sick. And so I'm grateful for that trial. James 1:2-4, count it all joy when you face trials of many kinds. Because the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance run its course so that you may be complete and lacking nothing. The worst thing I ever went through was one of my greatest breakthroughs. But I say all that to say my dad was teaching me these things that were scriptural, and I didn't realize it.
Yeah.
He taught me you never know what somebody's going through.
Yep.
Treat them accordingly. Everybody knows something that you don't. Treat them accordingly.
Yep.
There are no dress rehearsals in life. To those who much is expected, much is given. These are all things he would say that I remember when I was building a relationship with Jesus and started reading my Bible. I was like, Dad?
Oh, wow.
That's where you got
that.
that?
You stole that.
Yeah. But he instilled it in me, and it's so deep in the fiber of my being because I got it from the guy I looked up to the most.
Mm-hmm.
Building such a beautiful relationship with my earthly father before he died made the concept of an all-loving heavenly father really easy for me to understand.
That's really cool, man.
And I'm grateful for that. And I think you embody that as well. Luke chapter 6 calls us to love those who hate us.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is incredibly hard. And a microcosm is the cashier or the barista who's just being a shithead to you.
Mm-hmm.
And you have no idea why.
Yep.
And your ego kicks in and you want to be a shithead right back.
Yep.
But it's the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
Because the only opportunity you have for both of you to shift states is one of you to choose love.
Somebody's got to take the first step.
Yes. Like what did MLK say? Hate can't drive out hate. Only love can do that.
Yep.
And if you can just drop the ego for like a split second and force I hope you have a great day.
Yeah.
They may not even treat you differently, but that love, at least in my experience, when I've been a dick and someone's responded with love, it's an immediate mirror.
Oh my
God.
I go, yeah, why did I do that?
You being a dick back to me just gives me permission to be more of a dick.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
And now we're both having a pissing contest and nothing's getting done.
Yeah.
And that's one of the keys to life. Peter Crone, do you know who that is?
Yes, sir.
I had him on my podcast about a year ago, and I truly think that was a God-ordained conversation
Yeah.
because it was my most viral episode ever. It went viral on Spotify, which I didn't think was possible. Got like 1 million downloads.
Oh, sick.
And it's because I dropped my ego completely because he offered to basically coach me through my dad's death in the show.
Oh my gosh.
And he said something. You talked about suffering and attachment being the root of all suffering. Peter says, the delta between the way things are and the way things you think should be, that delta is suffering.
Suffering.
And rather just stepping into radically what is.
Acceptance.
Yes. My pain, sure, was about missing my dad and him getting sick and having to take care of the man who took care of me. I'm grateful for that. It's an unbelievable experience. But when I finally stopped wrestling with the idea of he should be better, a lot of the pain went away in a way that I can't really fully explain.
Yeah. And what's funny is in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the Hindu book of like how to not suffer, is basically there. It's not a Bible because they don't have a Bible, but it's like it's their rule book on how to not suffer. The true rubber meets the road when you're like, yeah, don't be attached to this drink or this hat or this brand. What about when your dad's dying? Now we've got real work to do. You know what I mean? Like now it's like, okay, how do I not be detached to this man that gave me life, this person that I've looked up to, that's my absolute hero? And that's like why we have to get so good at not being attached to the brand and not being attached to the shirt, because it's just practice for the game. That's the practice is the little bitty decisions in life, being nice to the barista, not escalating when the person's being an asshole to you. And the game is when your child has leukemia, when your father has cancer, when all of a sudden, like, it's game time. And it's not just practice anymore. But if you haven't been practicing, you're probably going to lose at the game. And truthfully, there is a way. I love my mom to death. My dad passed last year. My dad passing was crazy for me. And at the same time, like, I know that his body is just a vessel. It's just a garment. He still has his spirit. He's gone to a better place. And with my mom, I love my mom dearly. Someday she will pass, and I will have to, again, approach that with the exact same intention and thought. But it doesn't make it any easier, but it's certainly what you have to do. You know what I mean? Like you had two choices when your father passed: lay down and cry and give up, or get on with your life. And the detachment is just literally, how long do you feel like suffering before you detach from the suffering, you know, and you need to give yourself a grace period. We all need to mourn. We all need to be sad, but eventually we are the one who holds the key to, like, do I want to unlock this and let it go and stop suffering? Or do I want to beat myself up and die over this? And you see people do both. You know what I mean? You see people completely debilitated from grief, completely debilitated for the rest of their lives. And truly, it's a life of suffering. You can choose not to, you know?
That's not easy for everybody to hear.
Yeah, it sucks.
Because when you say, maybe someone's listening to this who is in the throes of grief, when they're angry, and why would God allow this? Why would they die? Why would this happen to me? Why me? Why me? Why me? And the unfortunate truth, or fortunate, it's all a reframe, is it is a decision. You can decide to be addicted to your suffering because it feels good. It gives us a degree of significance.
Yeah.
To feel bound to those negative feelings. Tony Robbins has this belief of we have 6 basic human needs, and I can't remember what all of them are, but the one that I always sticks out to me is significance. You want to feel important, and you want to feel like the things in your life are important, and in a way, staying addicted to or choosing to stay in the throes of grief almost for a lot of people makes the memory of that person feel more alive, and they're afraid if they let it go that person's no longer significant.
Yeah.
But that's not really what it is. That's not at all what it is. It's just an advanced way for your brain to try to keep you safe, keep your ego intact, and keep you bound. You know, another thing Peter says is life will present you with people and circumstances to reveal where you are not free. And my dad's death taught me that I had an idol, and idolatry in the Christian faith is a sin.
Yeah.
And it also taught me that why sin exists, not because God is an angry guy with a magnifying glass and we're ants. It's because he's a dad and he wants to protect us. To sin means to miss the mark. That's an archery term in Latin. And it makes sense to me that idolatry is a sin, because if I make people, things, worldly items an idol, they are of the world, they are imperfect, and in some way eventually they will let me down. So idolatry is a sin to protect me. And in a way, my dad was an idol. I depended on him for so much counsel, validation, space, room, anything. And I don't have that was ripped from me.
Yeah.
And it taught me where to really get it from the source, from the Lord, and also gave me a deep belief in myself. But I had to decide. And this era of the word victim mentality is everywhere, and it goes deeper and it gets more complex. And it's not necessarily a polite, it can be a very crass thing to say that being addicted to grief with someone on the other end of a horrific circumstance, people have been through awful shit.
Yeah.
But there is a point that comes where you have to decide, am I going to let this define me, or am I going to succeed in spite of it?
Yeah.
And it is a tough fucking choice. But once you make the right one, you can never go back. And it
Yeah.
is a much better life.
Absolutely. And you have there, I mean, it's like it, there doesn't matter. You can give me the most enormous possible worst case scenario. You still gotta get up and get on with your life. You know what I mean? Like, and that's I've been through some terrible grief before, so I know that again, it's easier said than done. But that's why you need to surround yourself with people who know it too, and that's why you need to make this your motto for your life forever, so that when it is your turn, you're surrounded by people who it's not their turn, and they can remind you. You know what I mean? Like when you next time you're going through something really hard, call me, I'll remind you. Do the same for me, you know? And that if you have that in your surrounding, in your community, which is the giving without expectation, it's the whole big picture, leads you into a world where you're in a safe place to fail, to be vulnerable, to suffer, and knowing that like, okay, I've made a life for myself where can I avoid suffering? Absolutely not. It's coming. You know what I mean? Like bad things are coming, but I have so many tools in my toolbox for when it happens, for the game. You know what I mean? I practice yoga, I practice breath work, I practice fitness. I'm big in community. All of these things are exactly what are going to pick me up when I get to my lowest point. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When did your dad pass?
2 Octobers ago.
2 Octobers ago.
Yeah. It was
Okay.
a weird one too, where we weren't close. He wasn't a hero to me. He was actually an example of how not to act for me, which was very powerful and very, very profound and created the man that I am. And I'm thankful for that, believe it or not. And I don't think he did it on purpose. I don't think he was necessarily a bad person. He was an only child, very successful man, very wealthy. And I think that like created this like I earned it all on my own. It's all mine and the world is mine. And like so many things that he did were beautiful examples of I'm not going to do it that way, and he's made me a beautiful person for that. But him passing was it was very strange because and I can't believe I'm saying this publicly, but he can't hurt me anymore. And that was he hurt me my whole life. You know, sometimes physically, a lot emotionally, and a lot mentally. And going and seeing that he was gone was sad, but it was also like, oh my gosh, like will never hurt me again. And it also showed me he spent his last 2 years of life in a assisted living home from a broken leg that he refused to do PT for because he was lazy and overweight. And he spent 2 years bedridden with a perfect mind and all the money in the world and couldn't do a thing because he was stuck in a bed. And that has been fuel on my fire to be not bound to anything medically and be the healthiest person I can, because the health as wealth came from my dad. My dad was a very wealthy man that was one of the poorest people I knew because he couldn't even stand up out of a bed, you know?
Yeah, it's counted all joy when
Yeah.
you face trials of many kinds. The trials with your dad made you who you are,
Facts.
which is a light for so many people.
Yes, sir.
Where do you feel like you have grace for him and forgiveness?
Yes, some. He's the one person I probably should keep working on it with. I learned a really valuable lesson about grace probably about 5 years ago. Weird, stupid story where a friend of mine was being an idiot and I got really mad at him. And then I realized I could have been that idiot. And I was like, oh, wow, that's funny. And my lesson for grace is if you've ever asked for forgiveness, you should probably be willing to give it too. You know, if you want someone to forgive you, you should be willing to forgive. And so I'm not mad at him. I have had a lot of anger my whole life towards him, which is all come and gone now. There's no anger, but there is definitely like I I mean, I wish it could have been better, you know, like,
Sure.
and it's funny. Before he passed, I tried to have a conversation. I was like, you know what? I'm finally at this emotional place where like, let's have this conversation. And I just kind of like laid it all out and talked to him for like 15 minutes and he didn't respond at all. And then I finally was like, hello, hello. And he had hung up the phone and it was all wasted air. And I was just like, oh, a kick in the gut. But it was also a really cool thing where it was like, he didn't hear it, but I had to say it and I got it out, even if it wasn't to his ears, and which is probably better on the grace side of things than just like dumping a bunch of stuff that you don't like about somebody on them. And even in that moment, getting to say it was awesome. And then his passing, believe it or not, was like, okay, like we're all human. Like, he's a human. I have to at least accept the fact that like he gave me life. He tried his hardest. And because of his examples of how not to act, I'm very proud of who I am. So weird stuff though.
It is. It's liberating for me. 3:15. All right, we'll go like 5, 10 more minutes. I can be 5 minutes late to the
Yeah.
haircut.
Cool.
I think we'll give it a minute so he can cut the footage.
Yep.
It's important for me. I've realized with people in my life that I feel like just do me wrong or can't meet me where I'm at or can't hear me. Like, do you ever think about the things that he had to endure that made him the way that he was? His wounds, his unprocessed traumas, his views on the world that made him limited in that way towards you?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I just being honest, like he had it so good. He had it so good for so long. He was an only child. I think that was affected him. My grandparents were incredible people. They gave him everything. And then he got into like building drag racing cars and became very successful at it. Um, I think that ego is a funny one. If you're not directly working on the ego, no different than the biceps or the quads or the lungs, like it's going to get away from you. It's going to become an unhealthy thing. And I think he didn't have a lot of tools around him for ego. He also was a rich and successful man in a very small, he was a big fish in a very small pond. And when you're the big fish in the small pond, you don't ever go to a bigger pond, you kind of limit your ability to get help and get reflection because everyone around him worked for him and was his employees or gained something from him. So no one was really willing to tell him the truth.
A bunch of
And
yes men around
yeah,
him.
exactly. And that's funny is when I went home to his funeral, I was like, I had the biggest realization I had is like, oh my gosh, thank God I went and did my own thing. I could have easily like gone to work at the family race car shop and been getting the race car shop and be a race car guy and be Jerry Bickel's son. And instead I was like, I'm going to become my own man. And on the day of his death, when I went and saw the state of the world that was his, I was like, oh my gosh, thank God this is just a visit. This is not a reality. I'm going to go back to my reality that I've worked so hard to cultivate and create. And am still thankful for his lessons because again, without it, I wouldn't be who I am. So have to take the good with the bad.
Yeah. Well, I think it's beautiful that you recognize that he had a lot of work to do in the ego department. I think one of my favorite aphorisms is we can only meet people as deeply as they've met themselves.
Mm.
And I think your dad probably hadn't met himself that deeply.
Facts.
He didn't even know it was ego. It was just it was an area of unconscious incompetence. He didn't even know what he didn't know.
Yep.
And that has been an enabler of grace for me. I mean, when Christ was dying on the cross, what did he look up and say? Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do.
Yeah.
And remembering that has helped me. And I appreciate you sharing,
Thanks.
being vulnerable, because I think that this will empower a lot of people to maybe make that call to their dad
Yeah.
or their mom or their brother and close those spiritual debt loops that they have with people.
Yeah.
And vulnerability, as you so beautifully demonstrated. I was going to ask you where it showed up in your life to benefit you, but I think you just showed me.
Yeah.
And you showed everybody. If, as we close out here, from your vantage point, everything you've done, everything you've been through, an abusive father, massive weight gain, massive weight loss, you've been in a lot of circumstances that a lot of people would be justified to stay stuck within. What are the couple of things you would encourage those people who feel like they're in a circumstance that defines them to get out of it?
I would say the first thing that helped me was happiness at all costs. Make it black and white. Does this make me happy? Does this not? And if it doesn't make you happy at all costs, if it's leaving a partner that you've been with, that you own a home with, if it's leaving a job that is your safety net and pays your bills, if it's whatever it is, be willing to walk away from the thing that makes you unhappy at all costs. We don't have a lot of time here. And if you're living a life that doesn't somehow provide happiness and joy to you, you're robbing yourself of the greatest gift of living this human life on earth. It's, I think we're here to learn lessons, but we're also here to experience joy. And it's, if we can experience the fruit of it, it's waiting for us eternally. But if we find ourselves bogged down by hatred and suffering and sadness, it could eventually perpetuate you from losing that eternal joy too. And so I think that seek joy, happiness at all costs is my biggest one, and serve other people. Just go out and find someone to help. It's the easiest way on earth. It's like the unlocking of joy is like, there's always someone that has it worse than you. If you're missing 2 arms and a leg, there's someone missing all 4. Like there's someone who has it worse than you. And that perspective of helping that person will put so much humility and laughter into the fact that you were worried about yourself in the first place. You know what I mean? If you can repeat that over and over and over, all of a sudden you start receiving without limitation,
Bickel, thanks for being here, brother.
Yeah,
I
man.
love you, man.
Love you, bro.
Thank you for
Yes,
taking the
sir.
time.
This
I
was huge.
appreciate you. This
Thank
was a
you.
blast. Let me know what you thought of the episode. If you enjoyed it, be sure to rate the show on Spotify. If you're on YouTube, drop a comment, show Bickel some love. I'm going to give you some love. I'm going to give you a big hug when we close out here. But I love you, man. I appreciate your time. I'm grateful that God brought us together, and I can't wait to do this again.
Amen, dude. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome.